Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
So happy it's Thursday. Welcome to Get Real America.
Yes, me too. And yesterday, Bill, news dropped of the Epstein. Here's the thing. People are misinterpreting what was released yesterday. It was not the client list that was released. What was unmasked yesterday was all of the names within a defamation lawsuit that is in regards to Epstein. And those are the names that were released. Bill Clinton named, I think, 73 times in these documents. And Alan Dershowitz, Prince Andrew, and of course, Trump was also listed, but also seems like it exonerates him from being involved with Jeffrey Epstein at all. So, but there's still a lot of documents to go through. So we'll probably have more on this next week. But I just think that this is rather interesting, Bill, that we're seeing this come to light. And it's only January, keep in mind. So if this is the January surprise, what are we going to get in October?
Yeah, but that's for sure. And also coming up today, we're going to be talking with the two gentlemen who started Paper Please.
Georgians for Truth.
Georgians for Truth. And they're coming up. We're going to be talking to them live here in about 20 minutes. So be sure to tell all your friends and share this with them. And if they can't watch now, at least because it's a podcast, you can watch anytime you want, just about any place you get podcasts, including Facebook and places like that, unless we're in purgatory.
Yes, well, and we do have an audio version only, and that is on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure you tune in for that. And yesterday, I saw this remarkable video, Bill, of this woman being attacked, and this woman was a judge.
A judge.
In Clark County, Nevada.
Wow. Look at this. I mean, you're not going to believe this. Watch this. He leaps over the desk. Now, you know how high those desks are usually for where the bench where the judge sits. And then one of our fine citizens decides that they didn't like what the judge was doing. I mean, this is unbelievable. Fortunately, she was not seriously injured.
And where they're moving her to areas that are primarily blue, which is increasing the amount of...
We're going to be getting to him in a few minutes. Yeah.
Well, and so the judge was not harmed. However, one of the court marshals has been hospitalized because of this incident. This guy is 30 years old. He's a 3-time felon. And he was about to be sentenced again, and she was going to throw the book at him from what it sounded like. And the charge was attempted battery with substantial bodily harm. I mean, I think he just proved his guilt.
Yeah, I was just going to say this didn't help his cause.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he has a brand, and I think that this might be it.
Yeah,
so,
this is it.
You know, the fact that we've gotten to this place in this country where someone would even think that they could do that and get away with it, or that it was an option to attack a judge. Yeah,
great to be a Democrat.
Yeah, well, I don't think that this guy's going to get away with it because in Clark County, most of those people swing to the left. So very interesting stuff going on around the country. I don't think this is the first time, but I think that this was so egregious and so shocking when you watch it because he just leapt right over it. Yeah. And those things are, I mean, they're not low to the ground. They're very high up there to protect the judges from stuff like this. So,
Harvard may be wanting to sign him up for the track team.
Oh, geez.
So
there's a chance there. But, you know, Bill, there are so many things that we're winning right now. With the Epstein stuff coming out, I think that at least this could open the door to some more investigations of what actually happened with Epstein. And maybe at some point we will be able to get the little black book released that has been sealed away, never to be seen again. So that's my hope for the Epstein stuff. But we're also seeing big wins in other ways. One of the ways is we had a case here in Georgia, True the Vote, Catherine Eppelbeck. She was sued by, of course, Stacey Abrams' group, Fair Fight, and they actually won their case this week, which is a big deal, especially here in Georgia. Of course, we are the epicenter for what happened in 2020. A lot of questions still surrounding what happened in 2020, and a lot of people not willing to let that go. And I think that this just goes into what we're going to be talking about with Build, Cersei, and Sam Carmine, which are the Georgians for Truth guys, and the Paper Ballot Please. So I do think this kind of falls in line with that. But this is what Catherine had to say about their big win here in Georgia this week.
Hey everybody, it's Catherine Engelbrecht with True the Vote, bringing you a great bit of breaking news. We've just learned from the Northern District Court of Georgia that the judge has rendered a decision in the case Fair Fight v. True the Vote. And that decision is that we have been fully vindicated. Today is a great day for America. Today is a great day for trustworthy elections. You see, we were sued by Fair Fight back in December of 2020 when we endeavored to help Georgia citizens file lawful elector challenges, basically asking their counties to take a look at the voter records because it would seem, based on data that we could provide to them, it would seem that many of those voters, in fact, some 364,000 according to our data, had moved from either the county or state where that voter was registered. And so in so doing, we drew a lawsuit from Fair Fight, and we have been battling it out for 3 years. Today, I am thrilled to tell you that the court has decided in our favor in full. We've beaten Stacey Abrams, Fair Fight, Mark Elias and his law firm and his gaggle of attorneys, and the Department of Justice. Thank you to all of you who stood so steadfastly by us through these tumultuous times. And there were some difficult moments along this journey, many changes, but we have continued to stand strong, knowing that it is right. It is not only right, it is necessary for citizens to stand for lawful elections, for trustworthy elections. And today is a great example of why we should continue. Justice has been served. Thank you all. God bless each and every one of you. And God bless America.
I think that's a great update from True the Vote. It's about time we start winning.
And we'll get a live update from the two guys who started all this in just a few minutes.
Well, they started paper pleas. This is one case that I think we have won on, and that means that they were accused of voter intimidation and voter suppression, all the words that the left likes to use.
Yeah.
So big case for us here in Georgia, especially because we have more to come. I do think that the Totenberg case starts next week. Mm-hmm. That's a really big case here in Georgia, determining if the Dominion machines are constitutional or not.
Yeah, for example, and it doesn't matter, they say on their website, if you're a Democrat, Independent, Republican, you've heard the district electronic voting systems have a proprietary code that cannot be audited. What is that? They've seen sloppy chain of custody protocols with unlimited mail-in ballots. The voter rolls are a mess. So here the Dominion executive, in his own words, described the
a bunch of reports regarding each state and the problems there. And Georgia was called by 11,779 votes. Fulton County, Georgia, the most populous county in the state, has no digital record of all in-person votes cast in its original results. That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
You don't have any of the records. And they were told that they needed to keep those records by Judge Totenberg.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, I'll just go through this really quick. Memory cards removed from tabulators for the results of these 315,000 votes, which were printed out on different machines than the ones that tabulated them. Why would that happen, Bill?
Good question.
The ballot images of these votes, along with the rest of the in-person ballots cast on Election Day, were destroyed. Why would you destroy that when a judge clearly said you need to keep these?
Mm-hmm. It must have been the Hillary Clinton.
Miscommunication,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. We need to see all this stuff. Oh, it's just pictures of me doing yoga and my daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
The rest of it I put under a sledgehammer.
Yeah, it's weird how that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fulton County did not count the same ballots during the original count and on the machine recount. There are 19,541 distinct ballots that appear in one machine count, but not the other. How does that happen?
19,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And thousands of presidential-only ballots were injected into the second machine count, with huge margins favoring Joe Biden. Ballots that are blank, except for the presidential contest, were counted in batches together.
Isn't that interesting? That they only voted for the presidency, overwhelmingly for Biden. And what did we find out about they were supposed to be mail-in, but they must have sent them in the big manila envelopes because they weren't folded.
They were delivered by pallet, let's be honest.
Yeah, and the printing on them was toner.
Yeah, well, and this pattern appears in 8 counties, including Fulton. That means Georgia did not have the votes to justify its original election results. So that was released yesterday by the Trump team. I do think that this is, of course, he also released stuff for the other states that had election fraud as well, reported in them. So very interesting that we can use the same data for 2,000 mules, and that's the geo-tracking that we used in 2,000 mules to track all of these people going to the ballot boxes.
Yeah.
It's not, it's inaccurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when we use the same technology to track people that were January 6th, it's correct. Explain that to me, Bill. And those people are in prison.
Well, yeah, because it's good to be a Democrat.
Here's the other thing. I hate to say it's just Democrats because I don't think that it is. I think it's whoever has the power wins. I think we need to stop focusing on a lot of this this stuff that doesn't matter, and we need to focus on the positions of power we need to take back in order to get back to an American traditional value system.
Mm-hmm.
And we're so worried about all this other garbage that we really need to put our focus into making sure that we're winning back seats that make a difference.
Yeah, watch the shiny thing over here. Don't pay any attention to the real stuff.
Yes, and Steve Stanton Sr. says paper, paper, paper ballots. And Lizzie Warren says destroying evidence is a conscience of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it sure is.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Bill. I just think that there's so much that goes along with the voter fraud, and people are like, we can't look back at 2020. We need to move on. We need to move on. We need to fix the problems that happened in 2020. And SB 202, which was the bill that was passed, it made some restrictions, but they left plenty of loopholes for people to work the system. And I think that those are the things that need to be really straightened out. The ballot boxes, I think the no excuse absentee balloting is bad. I think 3 weeks of early voting is way too much.
Way too much.
Do you know how much money that costs us?
Yeah. How about same day voting? I'm all in favor of going back to that too, but let's do one thing at a time here. But we need to learn how to street fight because that's what the other side is doing.
Well, they already have a plan for, up until 2030. Mm-hmm. And we're just trying to get through 2024.
Yeah.
That's a big issue.
Yeah, you need long-term planning as well, and these are some of the visionary things that the Republican Party needs to focus on, and that you have to have today. You have to be planning for today, but you've also got to be planning 5-10 years down the road. If you had a company and you were putting together a plan to put together a corporation of some sort, then you have a long-term plan. What do we want to do? What are we trying to do? What do we want to accomplish? Where do we want to be in 5 years? Where do we want to be in 10 years? It may not happen that way, but at least there is a plan in place.
Well, you need 2 plans, right? You need the short-term planning.
Yeah.
And you need the long-term planning.
Exactly.
And
it's like when we're going to be talking to Jay Ratliff a little bit later on about aviation and things of that nature and what's going on. But when you get ready when you're airline, or even if you have a private aircraft, when you get ready to take off, what do? File a what? Flight plan. As we disappear from view here,
yeah,
it's Halloween. Yeah, but you have to have a flight plan, and that's where we know where you're going. So let's start planning.
Okay. It looks like you're on mute.
Yeah.
Can you unmute?
So Phil, say hello to us as we get ready to put you on.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Did you know that Florida and Alabama vote on hand-marked paper ballots? In fact, 70% of America vote on hand-marked paper ballots. One person, one vote. If you feel like Georgians should vote, one person, one vote on hand-marked paper ballots, be at the state capitol, the Gold Dome, welcome legislators, and demand we change the way we vote before the 24 elections. Be there, January 8th, 10 a.m. Georgia State Capitol, Liberty Plaza. For more information, go to georgiansfortruth.org.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
Scary that it can be put into anything when we can't even see it or notice it.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannians with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
And as you can see, we have guests.
Yes, we have Phil Cersei and Sam Carnine from Georgians for Truth and Paper Please.
Yes, sir.
How you guys doing?
Absolutely. We need paper ballots, guys.
We're doing great. Thank you for having us today.
Yes, sir. Phil, give me the inside scoop here on why paper ballots. I know my wife saw this sign on our producer's lawn saying "Paper, please." Said, "What the heck's that all about? Do we need a better PR man or what?"
Well, if you talk to the leadership, you talk to the governor, he'll tell you, well, we have paper. Well, we have a selection summary. It's a paper that's printed from the ballot marking device printer, and it has a mark on there that actually spoils the ballot because we cannot read that mark. We don't know what the voter intent is, and it violates state law, and it also violates federal laws. We're going to find out next week where Judge Totenberg is going to go with this. She's got a bench trial starting Tuesday on the Curling Raffensperger case. Hopefully to put this to bed once and for all.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Sam.
Yes, Sam.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
But we need to keep the pressure on our legislators, and that's what we're going to do Monday. We're going to have a rally, a press conference. Hopefully there'll be some breaking news from Garland, Favorito, and Voter GA Monday that will open this thing wide open to another level. And we plan to do a press conference, do a little rally, and then we're going to disperse in teams and visit with our legislators. We're going to welcome them to the Capitol, back to the legislative session, and we plan to deliver to them what we want done, what our agenda is, and what we would like to see them get done in this session.
So have you met with them before, and have they been receptive?
We have met with a number of them. We've been, over the last 6-8 months, of course, the last 3 years, people have been involved, but we've been going to state election board meetings. We've been going to county election board meetings, county commissioner meetings, all over the state. We've met with our legislators when we can, and they all point to leadership. And right now, we're not seeing a whole lot of movement from the individual legislators. So we need people to really show up, and let's put a lot of pressure on them this coming week, to get this started off right and fix Georgia's elections. We've got 62% of the Georgia voters don't trust our system.
Phil,
So
that's an extremely difficult number to even comprehend, and I think the worst thing about it is that people are so worried about it that they just stay home. They just, well, I'm not going to vote if it's not going to be counted, and we've got to overcome that.
we do. If we don't vote, we're certainly going to lose. So we have to be enforced. There's so many people already that don't vote that we need them to be engaged, to stand up for what is true, stand up for what is right, and get out and go vote and let your voice be heard.
Well, and are there any bills that you're aware of that are going to be presented this session?
Well, actually, there's already 4 bills that are already in this session now that are going to provide more transparency and security for our elections. And we're going to have a handout, which we'll be delivering that Monday when we see the legislators. They already know about these, but we're going to remind them. There was also a bill that was dropped in 21 that would specifically go to hand-marked paper ballots and do an audit on every race. And that was SB 233 that Burt Jones dropped. That was when he was in the legislature. Now, of course, he's a lieutenant governor. But beside that one, there are 4 other bills that are already in this session that are in play. Either they've been heard or they're in rules.
Okay, well, at least that's something. I know that whether they go through committee or not is probably the other question that's out there that we have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our listeners, Steve Staton Sr., says, Field and Sam, thank you for your efforts on behalf of Georgia election integrity. People are really excited to see you guys on the show again. So you guys were a big hit last time. So thanks for coming back on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sam, are you back with us? Can you hear us now?
No.
Oh, boy.
Looks like we're having... Oh, there you are. There you are. Can you hear us?
Go ahead and talk.
Hey guys. Yeah, good morning. I've had trouble getting on, but thank you for having us. And we're excited about the January the 8th. All the people, we're, of course, needing boots on the ground, and that's what we're promoting, boots on the ground.
Yes, and so is this one of many rallies that you guys are going up for, or is this the only one that you guys plan on doing this session? What does that look like to continue the applied pressure?
Well, I think you'll find that this thing evolves as it goes, and it's according to what kind of response we get from legislators come Monday. You know, if they're receptive, and we'll be happy. If they're not, then we won't be happy. But either way, we don't mind coming back and engaging with them again.
Well, Sam, we've got to be relentless about this because the left certainly is. I mean, and I don't know where they get the money. I guess these people are getting paid by George Soros organizations or something, because most of us have jobs. We don't have the time to go to rallies or to stay there constantly like these other people do.
Well, how true. You're 100% correct. And, you know, me and Phil both, along with so many others that have been going to the state election board meetings and going to the Capitol to engage with legislators and crisscrossing the state wherever we could find them, actually, to visit with them and talk with them. It does cost money, but you know what? It's worth it. Our country's worth it. And to me, the state of Georgia is probably, if it's not the very most deserving to be looked at and worked with, it's got to be right up there in the top 5. The people that we have up there making laws for us, and you know, I'm so frustrated. I don't know what to say. I think
Sure.
I can say that, and many people will agree with me. You know, our people that are in office are amenable to the people according to the Georgia Constitution, and they need to read the Georgia Constitution and be true to their oaths of office.
Isn't that the truth? Field and Sam both. I'm old. My memory goes back actually to the re-election of President Eisenhower, And I don't ever remember a time when we didn't have the election counted, at least up until Reagan. We didn't have the election counted by 9 or 10 o'clock at night. We knew who the next president was going to be. We only voted one day, election day, and you couldn't register at 7-Eleven or at the gas station to register to vote. You had to go to the county courthouse. And and we had honest elections, and we knew who the electees were by about 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
and that's
you
why
got a
we'd like
very
to
good
see
point.
a decent. Go ahead,
Phil,
Sam.
you first.
That's why we'd like to see a decentralization of the process.
Mhm.
If we get back to hand-marked paper ballots, hand counted at the precinct by our neighbors and the people we know in our community, that can bring more trust back into the system. And it
Mhm.
also takes away, when you centralize things and bring it all into the central office, it brings in more complication. We've got so much technology now that it was not built from the ground up for security based on the Haldeman report.
Mhm.
We know that now, and since that was released this summer. So we need to decentralize the process, and 70% of the country votes on hand-marked paper ballots. Major countries around the world vote on hand-marked paper ballots, and the results are known, within the day. And they drag this thing out, with the technology that's supposed to be efficient, but it's not efficient if we don't know that it's accurate, and that if we have a proprietary black box that's counting our votes, we can't trust it because we don't know what's being counted.
Mhm. Yeah. Sam?
Yeah. So Halderman says that the Georgia's electronic voting system is not repairable, and so I've kind of dubbed it "tore up from the floor up." And we think that we need to change the way we vote, because how can you fix something that's tore up from the floor up?
Mhm.
And to get trust back into Georgia elections, we're going to have to change the way we vote, because there's so many people out there that Halderman says 62%. I think they're light. But without a doubt, even if it's just 10% of the people that don't trust Georgia elections, it's worthy to change the way we
Exactly.
vote so we can get trust back into the Georgia elections.
Well, Sam and Phil, we
Hey, by the
both.
way,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was
Go
going to
ahead, Sam.
say, by the way, after listening to Bob Couvert and Joe Rossi and David Cross and Kim Brooks and Garland Favorito and others that have, dug into the 2020 election, we don't know the true results of the Georgia election now, much less days later. We're talking years later.
Mhm.
And we can't go forward without knowing where we've been. And, Field and I do a few little clips, and we say in those little clips to end them, we may have been ignorant, but we ain't stupid.
Yeah.
Boy,
Well,
that's the truth.
Well, how do you guys feel about Raffensperger asking for another $29.7 million for the elections in 2024?
Phil, take it away.
Unbelievable. We've spent $107 million already for these ballot marking devices in this system. It's about $3,000 per ballot marking device if you average it all out. And we don't trust it. And he's wanting to spend $4 million for QR code readers, put a QR code reader at every precinct. And I don't think anybody's even thought about the logistics of that. If you've got more than 4 or 5 ballot marking devices and people print out their ballot, then they're going to get in line to get it scanned through the reader before they have it scanned through the tabulator. It's just adding more technology already on defective technology. It doesn't make any sense. I'm in technology. I'm a software development project manager, and I understand technology, and it can be used for good and it can be used for bad. And adding more technology on top of it. And besides, I think there's another 10 or so million in that budget to do the upgrades. They need new poll pads and printers to make it all work. So it's a half-baked solution. And the legislators, I think that's the reason they don't want to deal with it, is because they made a bad decision, and they haven't even, the system doesn't even comport with HB 316, the law that approved it. It doesn't even follow the the law that they passed, and I don't think they want to address that.
Laws, we don't need no stinking laws.
Yeah, this has been quite taxing, and there's a small minority that are getting involved, and I think that it's growing, but I do think it's very disappointing to see people that are saying that they won't vote on these machines, but they still aren't being a part of the movement. They're not calling their legislator. They're just sitting on the sidelines, which is very frustrating.
I think they've been beaten into submission.
Well, elections have consequences, and we're seeing it right now.
Boy, that's the truth. Sam?
We've got $34 trillion in debt. It's unbelievable.
Takes me months to make that kind of money. Sam?
Yeah, it takes me a little longer than that.
Yeah.
But, here's the whole point. If you boil it down to, I like to boil things down to as simple as possible. We got the fix already. It's already in legislation. We don't have to change a thing we do. All we have to do is use 21-2-334, which says that we can use hand-marked paper ballots at the precinct as long as it's impracticable to vote on the machines. And if it's not impracticable to vote on the machines, when Halderman and 29 other cybersecurity experts say that they're tore up from the floor up, then I don't know how impracticable will ever come into play. But, they write these laws that are so complicated for the common girl to understand and read, and then they like to make them so you got to go into court and fight about it. And it's just time to change the way we vote. Let's make it simple. Let's go back to hand-marked paper ballots like we did for how many ever 100 years it was, and then count them at the precinct by our friends and neighbors and come out with, the result that night. If these larger precincts like Fulton and DeKalb and like that want to run them through the machine first, I have no problem with that as long as they're not certified until after they have a hand count.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great solution, and probably one of the better ones that we can come up with at this point in time. I do have to ask before we let you guys go, have either one of you thought about running for office?
Field, you first.
I've thought about it, and that's all I can say.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, the wit and brevity. Yeah, okay, there you go. Sam, how about you?
Well, I've encouraged Field because he has thought about it, and I think he would be one of the best people we could possibly have in Atlanta. And I encourage him to consider it. I know he's considered it and prayed about it. And sometimes I think about it myself, and then I come to my senses, and then sometimes I continue to think about it. But I can tell you this much: I will not continue to support people that don't listen to the people, because this is a republic based on representative form of government, and we send these people to Atlanta and to Washington to do the will of the people. And Field and I have been in several places, including our own county, where we have a crowd of people. We've had over 100 in our little county commission meetings, and they say that we have most people that come to the county commission meetings. But when it comes down to it, you know what they do? They get somebody to, wiggle out of doing what the will of the people is. And so with that said, reception, deception, I'm tired of it. What will I do come next year? I don't know, but I'm learning a lot. Let's put it that way.
Okay, I like
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
Well,
Phil,
go ahead.
All right. Phil, the people have, we have ample evidence of people that have signed affidavits saying that they saw voter fraud taking place, and these people could be arrested for lying. If this was not the truth, and especially the lady that said that she went into that the voting place after they'd set up the machines, which are temperature sensitive, and she walked in and the place was like 12 degrees, and they came up, and after the HVAC people inspected, they said, well, the gas has been turned off. There's nothing wrong with the machines, and so that had to be deliberate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, there's been people that have gone to their sheriffs and tried to file these affidavits, but where's the sheriffs? When are they going to stand up and uphold the law? When are they going to bring charges against people? We've had people go try to present to the grand jury, and the DA blocks, or they say, "Well, it'll take too long to investigate," and that's a violation right there, because the grand jury is the highest law in the county is the grand jury, and to block them is a violation of Georgia law, and we need to get back to where the people are running this government and not those that are
The
hired.
bureaucrats. Yeah, for sure. Well, gentlemen, we sure do thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for your efforts, and you're doing the Lord's work. That's all I can say. And this is going to be a very critical election year.
Yeah, and before we go, how can people support you? And give them the details on meeting at the Capitol on Monday.
We are heavily into shameless self-promotion.
Well, you can always go to georgiansfortruth.org. We have a page there where you can get on our mailing list and volunteer to help us. We're on Twitter or X, Georgians, the number 4 Truth. And we're also on Facebook. And we've got our videos that are promoting this event on both those places, or all 3 of those places. We'd like for people to share it, share and like the X feed and the Facebook post. And it's going to be this coming Monday, 10 to 11 a.m. in Atlanta at Liberty Plaza. That's Monday the 8th. And then we'll have the presser rally, and then we're going to disperse in teams. We're going to go talk to our legislators. So it's not just a rah-rah. We're up there to do business. We're up there to talk to them and give them a handout of what we expect to be done to secure our elections.
God bless you guys.
Lastly,
yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Thank you. Lastly, it takes boots on the grounds, guys. If all you listeners out there, we need you at the rally at the Capitol, January the 8th. Thousands of people will speak louder than anything that any of us can do. And we just hope and pray that the people will turn out and show up and let the legislators know that we mean business. Thank you guys for having us so much. And thank you for all you do.
Yeah,
thank you.
For sure. Yeah. Don't expect good press coverage on this, by the way.
Take all the coverage you can get, good or bad. That's all I'm going to say.
If 10,000 people show up, the Atlanta Journal Constipation said it was 2,000, and they were there because of white supremacy.
Oh.
We'll have video. Okay.
We're aware.
By the way, it's going to be streamed live too. So.
Oh, good.
Awesome. So you're on your Facebook page?
Yeah. It's going to be on Voice of Rural America, BKP Politics, out of North Georgia.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
gentlemen.
you so much.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys and all you're doing, and we hope to talk to you guys soon.
We'll stay in touch.
All righty. Take care.
Well, there you have it. A couple of guys that are really trying to save America.
Yeah, and it's just a little bit. Can you sacrifice a day to go to Atlanta? Yes. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the show where I was in the car going to Atlanta to talk about, securing elections to support these guys. They were there, and also a couple of other people that have been a part of this movement in Georgia. So if you can sacrifice a day, grab some friends, you can go to lunch after, make a day of it. But it's very important that we get involved. It's very hard for people from South Georgia to get up to Atlanta. It is not my favorite drive. I will be honest with you, but I do think it's really important that we show support, and they're right. The only way that we're going to make a difference is if they see the numbers. Yeah.
It has to be overwhelming. So please, if you possibly can, and encourage all your friends, get a van or something, and head on out.
Party bus.
Yeah, party bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it fun. We got to make things fun again.
For sure, for sure. All right. Coming up next, we're going to find out what's going on in the friendly or unfriendly skies. Jay Ratliff, aviation analyst and expert, is on deck.
We'll be right back.
Stay real.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Did you know that Florida and Alabama vote on hand-marked paper ballots? In fact, 70% of America vote on hand-marked paper ballots. One person, one vote. If you feel like Georgians should vote, one person, one vote on hand-marked paper ballots, be at the state capitol, the Gold Dome, welcome legislators and demand we change the way we vote before the 24 elections.
Be there January 8th, 10 a.m. Georgia State Capitol, Liberty Plaza. For more information, go to georgiansfortruth.org.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit. Welcome back to Get Real America. It's time once again to get real and start off the new year with our good buddy Jay Ratliff, aviation expert extraordinaire. What's going on in the air and on the ground. And Jay Bird, I hope you had a great holiday.
I did. I'm always anxious for the new year, the clean slate,
Mm-hmm.
hoping people forget all the mistakes I made last year. So, yeah, it's an exciting time.
Yes, sir. I had a friend that said, I hope you don't make the same. If I made anybody mad last year, don't quit making those mistakes so I won't stay mad at you. So
Exactly. It's not me, right?
Well, speaking of things on the ground, was this Japanese Airlines thing yesterday was just horrific.
Yeah, it was. And we're learning, of course, a little bit more as the time progresses. And apparently, Japan Airlines 516 had been cleared for landing.
Mm-hmm.
They landed, and that Airbus A350, Bill, it probably lands with a landing speed of about 140 knots. So you're going about 160 miles an hour.
Yeah.
When they drop onto the main landing gear and then kind of rotate it forward to the front landing gear, and then they were at a decent speed when apparently they impacted that Coast Guard de Havilland, the Dash 8 aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
That's a propeller airplane, over the wing type of airplane, and I mean there was quite the thump when they hit it. And of course, you have passengers after that initial impact that are looking out the window at an aircraft that's still going down the runway at significant speed, and now you're seeing fire
on
the aircraft.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, what's going on now? Now, the flight attendants are already in their mode of, we call them emergency evacuation specialists for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Japan Airlines, a great airline, very well trained, and they know what to do. And
Obviously.
they're immediately telling passengers what to get ready for. And as soon as that airplane comes to a rest, they have to evacuate 397 people. Now, you and I know if you're on the boarding side of that, how much time it takes to get everybody on board an airplane.
Uh-huh.
It's going to take 40 or 50 minutes to board everybody.
Exactly.
Airplanes on fire. They can't use all the emergency exits. They get everybody off that airplane in less than 90 seconds.
That's amazing. And there were almost 350 people on board, as I recall, or something like that.
Yep. And I think with the crew members and all, it was close to 397, or
or 387, whatever it was a significant number of souls on board. And the last two off the airplane, of course, the pilot and first officer have to go out the windows. So they've got ropes that they lower themselves down as they are the last people off the airplane.
Right.
The lead flight attendant has already exited. She's at the end and starting to run away from the aircraft. The pilots are coming down the front when the airplane blew up. So it throws the flight attendant forward. It injures the first officer, knocks the captain off away. But that's how close they came. Now, when you look at the video of the people coming out the door, down the ramp, and across the tarmac, you don't see hardly anybody carrying this most single piece of checked luggage or carry-on luggage at all. You and I have talked about the idiots before. The airplane's on fire. There was the American Airlines flight, and here comes somebody with half their belongings behind them with 2 or 3 large carry-on bags that they obviously got from the overhead storage compartment on the aircraft before exiting, which is contrary to what the emergency evacuations are. There was a Russian airline flight that was on fire, and there's this stream of people coming off the front of the airplane because the back of it's on fire.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it stops. The evacuation, there's no more people. And then here comes some absolute idiot that's coming down the thing with 3 bags, large bags. He slowed everybody up behind him, and I think 30 or 40 people died behind him.
Good Lord.
And they're saying it was his fault that many of them died who would not have died had he put his fat butt in motion and gotten off that airplane. Now, I don't know what they do in Russia to people like that, but I'm not going to suggest what I would have liked to have seen happen, but that kind of individual was responsible for people dying. You have a situation here where the flight crew for Japan Airlines, I mean, they were heroes. They got everybody off. It reminded me of the Miracle on Toronto. If you ever get the chance to look at that, it's an Air France flight that landed in bad weather, couldn't stop in time, goes off the end of the runway in Toronto, breaks into pieces, and catches on fire. You look at what's left of the airplane, and your question is, did anyone survive this? And the response is yes, every single person survived it, just like JAL 516, because of the flight crew that's on there. It bothers me to no end when people snap their fingers at flight attendants or think they're there for their next drink or whatever idiotic thing that they think about.
They ain't your waiter.
Exactly. They're there as emergency evacuation specialists to save our lives if there's an emergency. And that's exactly what we saw here. And remember, flight attendants for a lot of airlines are not paid until the door shuts. That means as they're at their emergency exit stations, in the event there's an emergency at the gate, which has happened before, where they have to evacuate people out of the airplane and over the wings if there's a problem, they're not getting paid for it. And when the plane arrives and people are getting off, many airlines do not pay their flight attendants. I think Delta gives them a partial pay, which I think is really insulting because it's like, well, I would think safety has no, high and low season. I would think it's, but again, people just, so I wrote an article for The Hill. I think it's coming out this week about it's time to stop asking flight attendants to work for free because of how valuable they are. And when you look at the team on Japan Airlines 516, it's a perfect example of just how well trained they are and how good they are at what they do. But the sad point is, not only do we treat flight attendants like that, some of them are paid so little when they first get started, they qualify for food stamps in Massachusetts.
Wow. Sounds like our military these days.
And those are the people that protect us on board airplanes. It's beyond my ability to comprehend. And I've got a pretty good imagination.
That is horrific. Well, obviously, I guess I know that's going to be. Is the NTSB involved with this at all? How does Japan work this in the investigation?
They may be asked. Normally, what happens here is Japan has their own, if you will, their own Federal Aviation Administration. They have their own NTSB. They're bringing in people from Airbus that will assist in the investigation, and they may, as a courtesy, ask some people over from the NTSB. I know that it'll be made available if they need it. But I don't think so, as far as they've got everything they need. And if Japan Airlines 516 was cleared to land, The only question is the aircraft that was on the runway, was it told to go there, or did the pilots make a mistake in being there? So
Yeah.
that's what the investigation over the next several months is going to focus on. And I suspect that we'll get an initial preliminary uh, press conference about some of the probable cause or causes probably in the next probably 2 to 3 weeks, and then the final report might be 7 or 8 months down the road. So
Okay.
they're going to look at everything just to see what happened. But
Hmm.
I mean, that could have been far worse. Had
Oh,
if
yeah.
both airplanes ignited at the same time, you'd be talking about hundreds and hundreds of fatalities.
Yeah. Jay, what do the pilots have to do? I mean, obviously, the pilots were heroes on this as well. They have to.
Yep.
They're rolling down the runway at 150 miles an hour and on fire. What are the things they have to like? Shut down the engines, stop the fuel
Well,
flow. What do they do?
in a process like that, when you've landed and you look up and you see there's something on the runway, you don't have time to veer. You don't have time to do anything, but you're going to hit it. So
Hmm.
they're already in the process of reversing the engines to try to give thrust to slow the aircraft down.
Right.
They're on the brakes. And at that point in time, there's nothing that the crew can do other than go through and you have impact.
Hmm.
They're at that point where they're trying to manage the aircraft, the fuel flow, yes, but also trying to get the airplane stopped. You don't know if you've got the full capability or not. When the
Hmm.
airplanes came to a stop, I did not see the forward landing gear. So it may have been that it was knocked free. So you've got so much going on the flight deck that at the time there's nothing being communicated probably to the flight attendants,
Hmm.
because in an emergency situation like that, if you and I are on the flight deck, we're trying to control the airplane. We're trying to get it to a stop. Once it's at a stop, the information would be given to the lead flight attendant to evacuate the aircraft. Now, I suspect that there might have been some communication ongoing, maybe from the pilots to the lead flight attendant in the moments after impact to the time it stopped. We don't know, and I'll have to wait for the final report to see that.
Sure.
But typically, what happens is the crew is trying to do what they can to respond to the emergency up front, and communicating to passengers, communicating to the flight attendants, many times is a secondary consideration, because you've got an emergency you have to manage, and it requires all of your attention so that you know what's going on.
Right. Meanwhile, U.S. and worldwide rankings on the most are punctual airlines of 2023.
Yep, and Delta Airlines took top honors. They were the most, as far as the United States,
Hmm.
they were the carrier that or the airline that was the most punctual. I think theirs was about 85%. Southwest Airlines came in fifth. I think they were like in an anemic 76%.
Oh,
But you had
wow.
Alaska Airlines, United, American, the usual people,
Hmm.
and Delta. I think for the second year in a row, it was at that spot. And look, Delta is all about on-time departures. They're all about completed flights. That's the good news. The bad news is if you're a passenger, make sure you get to the airplane on time. Otherwise, and I speak from painful experience, not because I was late to the airport, but we were coming off a delayed flight, and they let the connecting flight go 10 minutes early. They are absolutely obsessed with making sure that goes. And I mean, we're the top tier frequent flyers for Delta, and we had a whole bunch of us. They didn't care. They left us at the gate. And
Wow.
that's why I say
Yeah.
Al at the Atlanta airport's my new bud, because his response to me when I got there was next time be on time. He came off of a flight that had a 1 hour
Yeah.
mechanical delay coming out
Uh-huh.
of Orange County, and this gentleman is telling me to be on time. So, and of course, I contacted his boss, his boss's boss, his boss's boss's boss, and I mean, at most got
Hmm.
I don't know, a little. I got a promise for one of them to give me a call, and after waiting 25 minutes after the scheduled time, I gave up on him.
Yeah.
But customer service just isn't there. And Delta's an airline that I love, but it's just unfortunate that love and affection doesn't come the other way, because they're going to try to make sure that the flights are on time, and they're going to try to make sure that they're completed. So if you don't care about customer service,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, that's why Delta's our carrier of choice. And now when
Hmm.
we fly, we make sure that we've got 2 hours plus between connections because I'm never going to have that happen again.
All right, good for you. By the way, we were just at one of the Ghost Pirates hockey games here the other day, and there was an advertisement for a new airline here, Breeze. Who are these people?
Yes. Well, Breeze is a carrier that I believe is can't remember the CEO's name, but if you've ever heard of WestJet, WestJet is a Canadian carrier,
right?
That is they're kind of the Southwest Airlines, if you will, loosely speaking, of Canada. Then he started a little airline called JetBlue. So I say this man knows what he's doing.
Okay.
He and I've only had a couple of conversations over the year, but the airplanes are newer. They're nice. They're running a nonstop from Cincinnati to Orange County. And as soon as Sherry and I can arrange it, I'm going to buy a ticket and go because I want to test it out and see. They're a great airline. They've got a very aggressive marketing plan right now. But I can tell you, if you all landed Breeze, congratulations, but you're going to have to support them. That means if some other airline that you're used to flying, let's say you like United, but United matches the fares of Breeze, and you're like, I want to get my freaking flyer miles. So you fly United at the matched fare instead of flying the carrier that made it responsible. Breeze will leave. They'll go to another city. So Savannah's been very good, even though I can't stand the parking that is the extended parking outside. If you know the airport, what I'm talking about, where you go out to the overflow lot, because it's got 20 some rows and none of them are numbered. You can't remember where you parked. It's frustrating. I mean, I love that airport, but I hate that parking. Put up some stupid signs. I mean, if I go to Disney, I'm in Goofy 33. At least I know where I'm at. Out there, I have no reference point. So,
now this sounds pretty goofy all by itself. Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to make it easier on people. And when anybody makes things slightly harder, and most people, when they get to the airport, they're stressed anyways. I tend not to be, although Sherry might disagree from time to time. So anything they can do to make things easier, which Savannah does. I mean, goodness. I mean, you got 2 spots to get ice cream. How great is that? So,
well, it's Leopold's. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Take care of the important stuff. Look, congratulations on getting Breeze. And if the community supports them, look, they'll give you additional flights to additional cities, perhaps. And as far as the airline itself, it's one of the few low-cost carriers that are new that I'm excited about because, anybody that starts WestJet and JetBlue, they know what they're doing. They're not one of these people that think, oh, it'd be fun to start an airline. Let me do it. No. You got some people here who know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I was real. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to give you a funny story when we're done talking.
All right. Yeah, I was just going to say, one of the things that I hated was I only got to fly them one time. Allegiant came along, or Altair. Okay. And this was back in the early 80s, I guess. And it was the first time I'd been on a nonstop flight from here to Philadelphia. And I was surprised that since I didn't have to go through Atlanta, how short the flight was. But it was a great airline. They used this Dutch made airplane that was really nice and quiet. And all of a sudden, they were gone within a year.
Well, remember, right after the Deregulation Act of 1978, we had a ton of new carriers coming out. The Air Floridas and all the others that came out, and they competed with the big boys, drove down fares big time. And, a lot of people opted not to fly him. That's why the likes of an Eastern and Braniff and all the other big carriers like TWA and others went away. They simply could not keep up with that. And that's why we don't have the flagship of Pan Am and all those other incredible carriers as we did before.
Right.
The low-cost carriers, the competition brought that in. And look, the more of the Breeze type airlines you guys can get, the cheaper the overall fares are going to be. And that's the incredible side of getting any low-cost service or getting somebody to expand their low-cost service at that airport. So let's hope it continues, and congratulations.
All right, sir. Okay, amusing stories as we wind it up.
You always ask. So I had one in reserve. I'm thinking, Bill asked. I'm not even going to wait for him to ask. We had a Russian airline. Don't ever fly a Russian airline, ever. That's my note to myself. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
It's not on the bucket list, I can assure you.
Getting on a Russian carrier. We had a Russian airplane. It was a smaller regional type carrier, 30 seats or so. They did not land where they were supposed to. They're shooting for an airport in Siberia. They miss the airport and they land somewhere else. Where did they land? Bill, they landed on a frozen river. How about that?
God.
Hey, thank God it was frozen.
Thank God it was
out of Siberia.
Yeah.
But I'll send you the picture of the plane sitting on the ice. I've seen airplanes land at other airports, like, when you're going into Miami,
Yeah.
you got a General Aviation airport, and they make a mistake.
Yeah,
it
sure.
shouldn't happen. At the Dayton Airport, you got Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, 7 miles apart from Dayton
Right.
International. I can see, but I don't ever remember somebody mistakenly landing on a frozen lake thinking it was an airport.
Yeah.
So I'll never, I say all the time, I'll never say I've seen it all. These are the kind of stories that I tell you about.
Yeah. Okay. Clint Eastwood did it on Firefox, but that was a movie. All right.
Yeah, that was a movie. This is highly trained professionals that landed on a frozen river thinking, welcome to wherever they were going.
Yeah, there it is. All right.
Don't fly a Russian airline right now, please.
Again, it's not on the bucket list, I assure you. All right, Jay, Happy New Year. Welcome back, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Believe me, I can't wait, brother. Talk to you soon.
Me too. God bless. We'll be right back. As the old saying goes, you can't make this stuff up.
I know. It's so wild in the airline industry. Who knew?
Yeah,
Who knew?
That's right.
Except for when you talk to Jay.
You're landing. I wonder where all the buildings are if this is the airport.
Yeah,
Okay.
and really quick before we leave the show, I just wanted to say there is an active shooter situation reported at an Iowa high school. That's Perry, Iowa. So pray for those people. I hope they got that under control very quickly. There's not a lot of reporting out, so maybe we'll jump into that next week. But praying for those people. That just broke just about 3 minutes ago. So
if you want to keep us here, we need your help. We need money, and it's as simple as that. So if you can help us out, make a donation. You can also become a member. Just go to our website, thelocalspin.com. That's thelocalspin,